I spent 2 hours crying last night, which I want to say is out of character, but these days it's fully in character. So today I want to tell you why I'm not sad about crying. I don't have my glasses on or my contacts in, which means I literally can't see the camera and it's right there. So if my eyes look like they're not focused or not exactly looking at you, it's because they're not. And I have to keep reminding myself, I can't see you, but you can see me. I feel like a broken record, but I'll go ahead and give some caveats to this. I have been someone who spent my life pushing down all my feelings and quite frankly, being very proud of it. I saw feelings, and if we're being honest, I kind of still feel it, even though I know it's not true. I see feelings as a weakness. I have thought about feelings as something that inhibits solid thought. Therefore, you can't trust them, you can't pay attention to them, and you certainly can't feel them. And if you've been around the channel for the last, I don't know, several months, you've heard me talk ad nauseum about head, heart, hands, which is basically I'm obsessed with learning. It's this idea that if we want to fully embody being a disciple of Christ who makes other disciples of Christ, if we want to be able to do that, we have to engage not just our head, not just our heart, and not just our hands, our actions. We've got to embody all three. And there needs to be, at least in my estimation, what I'm trying to do is come to somewhat of a balance. Because I'm far too much in my head, but I've been working on, for about 4 years, getting into my feelings and my actions and not just, being a floating head. In therapy, my counselor, who I've been with her for that 4 years, she'll encourage me to express what I'm feeling, at least at the beginning. This was more in the early years. And so I would tell her what I was feeling and she would pause and say, Melissa, that's not a feeling, that's a thought. I would confuse my thoughts and actually think they were feelings. Now, my husband is a feeling person. So if I ask him what he thinks, he will tell me how he feels. He does the opposite that I do. Anyway, this is what we're working with. Someone who is not the best at expressing their feelings. I definitely feel, but expressing it, it's a challenge. But what I've been pondering since last night, which first of all, nothing is wrong, but it was important. It was important for me to not only feel what I needed to feel, but also to express it to Jared. The one thing that I noticed about last night, which I was proud of myself, even in the moment, these things like slide so bad, is that I actually enjoyed somewhat the process of expression. Like I felt the relief. I was talking to a friend and he was saying he had been crying. He's not a crier. And he was like, you know what? It's rather cathartic to cry. And that's definitely what I felt last night, like that relief. And much less typically when I go to cry, I spend so much of my energy trying to not cry. And I still did that to some extent, but I really focused on letting go. And in a weird way, it felt good, like a release. I've been thinking about how foolish it has been of me. And really, if I'm honest, there is still some belief that emotions are inferior to thinking. I've been pondering how, as I let myself feel, I actually think it informs my thinking. It's almost like emotions bring a color and life to my thoughts that I wouldn't have otherwise. Now, I'm not talking about feelings in isolation and letting them run the day, but I also think it's just as foolish to isolate our thoughts or our actions, like isolate them alone and think that they rule the day. Like thoughts are the only thing that matter, or doing with our hands is the only thing that matters. I think when we operate in isolation, there's much dysfunction. And not only dysfunction, and listen, I'm pontificating without any credentials or any learning whatsoever, so don't mind me. So I'm just looking at my own personal experience, but I would say that it is bringing life and color, not only to my thoughts, but then to my actions because I can see it changing what I'm doing. Jared spent some time last night telling me again all the difference he sees in me, especially in this last year, and how that has affected my hands, my doing. That by feeling more, and not just thinking more, but by feeling more, I'm actually doing and being different. This is kind of stupid, but it's what I've been thinking. I wonder if my thoughts are kind of like, if you think about a cartoon, the outline, you know, the first thing you have to do is like draw the cartoon, right? So it's just an outline, but it's blank. My emotions are like what colors and shades that cartoon picture. It gives it life, it gives it nuance, it gives it beauty and pain, but it brings it from like one-dimensional to maybe two-dimensional, adding in the color. And then my hands, the action is actually what animates it. It's what really brings it to life, brings it like three-dimensional, you know? And you need all three. The thoughts to give the boundaries and outline to what is true and what is false. You know, the outline kind of contains the cartoon character, if you will, which would be the thinking. And the feeling, which would be the color, brings beauty, even when it's painful. And the hands, the action, bring the life and the motion. And we need all three. That's what I keep telling myself. I don't want to be someone who just comes on here and talks about the Bible without applying it to real life. I could be that person, and sometimes I want to be that person. Sometimes I am that person. The Bible with just thoughts is not what God intended. He intended like the full color picture, the animation, life in all of its fullness. And that takes our head, our heart, unfortunately, and our hands, our doing. This is all I got this week. Andy and I were supposed to record a bunch of videos until I got this Marco Polo.
So, because this is my voice.
And now she's out of town. So the plan went up in smoke, but we're just gonna keep it simple for the next couple weeks. It's the holidays anyway. I'm also trying to figure out, what am I doing for 2023? I would love to hear in the comments below, what do you wanna see in 2023 on this channel? Okay, I gotta go put on my makeup and try to look alive to some extent. So I'm gonna let you go. I'll see you next week. If you're up for another video, here's a Q&A I did with questions ranging from what do I think about seminary, why do I only wear black, and my thoughts on pursuing writing online.